Good morning, children. Welcome back to the social session. Children, we were learning about the Indian rivers and the water resources, not particularly about the rivers, but about the water resources and the availability of the water resource and how to share this water resource legitimately and efficiently. We were trying to understand with a case study of Tungabhadra river basin. So, under the Tungabhadra, we have seen the dispute between the Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The water sharing was a dispute between these three states, and the availability of the water in the upper basin, that is in the Karnataka region, is very high, whereas in the lower basin that falls in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the availability was very less. And this region also falls under the low rainfall region, and there is a scarcity of water even to cultivate one crop in a year. And even the cropping pattern also affects the availability of the water in the dam as well as in the basin region. So if you continuously cultivate paddy which requires, or sugarcane which require heavy amount of water, then the availability will be very low in the lower portion of the catchment area. So this is what we tried to understand in the previous class, children, and let us move on with the same Tungabhadra river basin problem today also, how to solve such kind of dispute between the states, what kind of laws should be made in order to resolve such kind of issues between the states, because most of the rivers flow across the country. So now if you take Ganga crosses over 4 to 5 states, then automatically the dispute arises between these states in the sharing of the water. So there should be some concrete laws which can be used to resolve the issues or disputes that arises out of sharing the water among these states. So such kind of thing during the last 2 decades, if you look at them, there has been increasing trend in the number of small towns and industrial areas coming up around the Tungabhadra region, and we also understood that water pollution was also going on unchecked into the Tungabhadra dam. This has made the competing demands for the water more complex in this region, and there are many units that have established in the Tungabhadra basin, 27 major units and 2,543 smaller units industrial establishments are present, and even the mining, the manganese mining and even the iron ore mining at Kudramukh and even at the areas like Sundur plays very important role in the pollution and in decreasing the water storage capacity, that is the siltation of the Tungabhadra dam. So thus the socio-economic aspects as well as very important in the water use management, and conflicts within the communities in a region and across the sectors such as use for the agriculture, use for industry and drinking water are very common. And apart from this, the interstate disputes between the Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana arise due to the transboundary nature of the river. So these all can be resolved only through the better water management boards that are that function under the central government. Already KRBM, Krishna River Board Management, is trying to resolve such kind of issues even between the Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. If you look at the rational and equitable use of the water, for an example, in different parts of India, we can see a number of traditional methods of water harvesting and rational use, efficient and rational use. Rationally in the sense, how much should be used? Only that much. So rationally appropriate usage of the water can be found. We can read about the use of the water and the need to look at the fallow lands, the inflows and outflows, so that a judicious and fair use of the water can be worked out in a particular region. So this could be for a river basin or for a village. Such plans, if they are implemented, implementation schemes are possible, and Hiware Bazar village is one such example where they have used through the water harvesting methods a better water management concept, and that stood as an example for the entire country. Hiware Bazar was selected under the Adarsh Gram Yojana of Maharashtra government for watershed development and for the all-round development of the village. Hiware Bazar is actually a small village which is located in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, and it is situated in the eastern side of the Sahyadri mountain ranges, that is to the Western Ghats. Eastern side is the Sahyadri mountain ranges, eastern side this Hiware Bazar is located, and this region is a rain shadow region. You know what is a rain shadow region? The one side of the mountain you receive heavy rainfall, the other side you don't receive any rainfall. So such a area is called as a rain shadow region. So very little rainfall they receive, and the Sahyadri mountain ranges runs to the north south and separates the Konkan here, the coastal region, from the rest of Maharashtra. And Ahmednagar district is a drought prone district, even though it is located very near to the coast, but it is a drought prone district with an average rainfall of about 400 millimeters only. Okay, it is about 400 millimeters, very less rainfall. For that reason, it is very often a drought prone like the Rayalaseema districts of Andhra Pradesh. The soil and water conservation works in Hiware Bazar were implemented on common lands. That means on the government lands and on the common lands. On the private grasslands were also made, and continuous counter trenches, CCTs, were constructed. You know what is a trenches? Continuous counter trenches. Okay, देखो अभी ये है the surface of the land. So water whatever gets fall here will run off. What they do is they dig here a pit, and again they leave, and after some distance again they dig the pit, so that the water which flows on the surface will gather here. Once it gets filled up, and again it flows this side, and again it gets, so that the water percolation takes place into the ground. The groundwater level increases. So this continuous counter trenches were dug by these Hiware Bazar villagers, and they were dug on the hill slopes in order to arrest the soil erosion, and in order to harvest the water and encourage the growth of the grass. If the grass is present, the soil doesn't move. The grass will keep the soil attached, and the fertility of the soil can be retained with the growth of the soil. If there is no soil, then the water runs off, and this grass also will allow for the percolation of the water. A number of water harvesting techniques, structures were also built in the village, like check dams were there, percolation tanks were there, loose boulder structures were there, plantation on the forest lands were there, roadsides plantation, that means planting of the more trees also has taken up. Even the government of Telangana has taken up the Harita Haram in order to plant more trees so that the groundwater can increase. So these all were the part of the program. When Adarsha Gram Yojana was launched in Maharashtra, there were also some preconditions set for the selection of the village. So most importantly, there were 4 important bandis or ban prohibited in the village, and made famous the Ralegan Siddhi experience. These 4 bandis were Kurat Bandi. Kurat Bandi means ban on felling of the trees. Nobody should cut the trees in the village. That is ban. Second one is Cherai Bandi. You should not allow your grazing animals to freely graze on the hill slopes. So that is also completely banned. That is called as Cherai Bandi. Nas Bandi, that is family planning. Nobody should have more than 2 children. And fourth one is Nasha Bandi. That is a ban of the liquor. Like you have seen in your previous class about the Gangadevpalli, which is a Adarsha Gramam in Warangal district, in Warangal rural district. In the same way, this has been selected for Adarsha Gram Yojana when these 4 bandis were implemented. One is Kurat Bandi, cutting of trees; Cherai Bandi, free grazing; and third one is Nas Bandi, family planning; and Nasha Bandi. Fourth one is liquor ban. So these are 4, and people also started participating voluntarily in the development of the village. There was a physical labor they had given, and except for the landless who were exempted from it, whoever owned the land, they had participated physical labor, and they had contributed in the construction of these all water harvesting techniques. So in the next class, we shall further understand about the development of the Hiware Bazar village and how today it has become self-reliant village. Thank you, children.